welcome back to my channel, Nails by A. Today we are going to be doing some freehand line work. We are going to be using my Makartt nail stand, my Beetles liner brushes, and in this kit you have 5 liner brushes. We have our long liner brush, we have a medium thin liner brush, a medium thick liner brush, a small thin liner brush, as well as a thick liner brush. And we use these brushes for different lines, as you'll see in a few minutes here. I'm also going to be using my Janolia Art Gel, and Art Gel is a thicker consistency than just your standard regular gel polish, which helps to kind of create even lines. So we're going to start off by removing the shine from the nail. This isn't necessary if you are just practicing, but for the sake of the video and doing things correctly here, you do want to remove the shine from the nail surface if you are working on a client or yourself. This helps to prevent any chipping or peeling and helps the gel polish stick to the nail. I am going to be working on a clear background, so I'm going to go ahead and put my base coat down, which for me will be a matte coat. If you are using a colored gel polish, you want to go ahead and put that down, cure it, and then go ahead and matte your top coat. This will make it easier for you to draw on the surface. I am not sure why this is, but I have noticed I've seen many people do this, so I figured why not try it myself. And out of comparison, this does definitely work better for myself as well. So I definitely recommend giving it a try. So we are getting our colors ready. I'm going to be using this peachy orange, this lime green, and a black for my lines. I am going to be doing the black lines with the long liner brush. And as you see, when I'm loading my brush up, I'm kind of wiggling it to get the product really well into the bristles. This was a dry brush, and when you have a brush in a bottle, it has time to sit and soak up the product. That is not the case with this, so you really need to make sure you are loading some product in there. That way you are able to draw more long and consistent lines. As you see, I'm giving it a test out here. I am pulling it through. That way I don't have clumps of product on the edge of my brush. This will also help give you consistent, even lines. And I am kind of twisting and turning it as I pull it through to kind of help load that product and pull it down the bristles and make it nice and even. I'm also being sure not to load the product all the way up because I don't want to get any of the product in the metal piece that holds the bristles, because this will in the long run ruin your brush. So I think the main tip here and the most important tip when doing anything freehanded is anchoring your hand. This will definitely help to keep it steady. I use my pinky. You can also use your ring finger, but I find it easier to use my pinky. Also, the way you hold the brush is very important. So when you're holding it down closer to the bristles, you're able to have more control and you're able to make longer strokes without actually moving your hand, just kind of swaying it with your pinky anchored onto whatever it is you're anchoring. When you hold it up more, you aren't able to make as long strokes and you have less control over the brush. So to get the best control, you want to hold it as close to the bristles as possible. And last but not least, you want to make sure you're using the correct product, especially when doing line work and especially when you are just beginning or learning. Art Gel, I think, is the best product to use to practice lining and freehand drawing because it's a thicker consistency. It doesn't run as much. The edging doesn't kind of disperse. Art Gel is a thicker consistency and it's very sticky and stringy like, so it kind of pulls with the product compared to your regular gel polish or just regular nail polish in general. It's more liquidy and it's a little bit harder to control and work with because of that. Now, when you are a little more experienced, I think using regular gels or nail polishes is fine, but as far as practicing goes, I would definitely recommend practicing with Art Gel because it's easier to work with. So as you see, I just made my first 2 lines, and I did this by holding the brush at an angle that I was going to draw the line and then just dragging the product to the point where I wanted the line to be and where I wanted the line to end. Now, as you just saw, I was kind of cleaning up an area. So I was just using some non-acetone polish to kind of thin up the line a bit because it was a little bit thicker at the top and I wanted to make it a little bit thinner so it was more consistent. That's a simple, easy fix. Again, you could just wipe the whole thing off and start over, but if it's just something simple like that, clean it up. Now, in between, when I do like what I have, I do cure it. That way, if I mess up further down the line, I can just wipe off and restart, but not have to start over the whole entire design. Next, I am going to be using my medium length thinner brush. As you see, compared to my long liner brush, it is significantly shorter. And this, I would say, is definitely my go-to brush. I use this brush for most of my lines unless they are extremely long lines stretching across the entire nail or extremely short lines. This brush is perfect because although it's my thinner medium brush, if I just use the tip, I can make really thin lines. But if I press the belly of the brush down, I can make thicker lines, as you see. This is why I would choose this brush for most of my lines, again, unless they are extremely long or extremely short lines. So here I am making a smaller triangle within a triangle, and the best way to kind of help keep things aligned is to make small tick marks. You can also do this, as I mentioned in a previous video, when you are drawing a line, whether it is straight or curved. Make a starting point and an ending point, and it kind of gives you an invisible guideline of where you need to take your line. Also, when I am drawing parallel lines, instead of looking at the line that I am drawing, I kind of just watch the space in between my two lines, and that really helps keep them nice and even and keeps the space between them even. So this is the third brush of the brushes that I use on a regular basis for doing line work. This is my shorter, thin liner brush, and I use this to make most of my short, thin lines. Now, this is my second go-to brush as well. I love this brush for making thinner lines, and I use this brush also on a regular basis if I'm not making extremely long lines. With this brush, I am going to go ahead and make some wings on the side of the triangle, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of the nail as far as the line work goes. Then we are going to go ahead, add some color, fill some spaces in, and I do use two separate brushes for doing fill-in work. On the left are the 3 brushes that I use to do my line work. They are my small, medium, and long thin brushes. And on the right, the pink and the gold brushes are the brushes that I use for filling in spaces. These are my thicker liner brushes, and it's my short and medium liner brushes. Because they are thicker, I like to use these for filling in spaces because it fills in a lot faster than the thinner brushes do. And of course, I like to use the thinner liner brushes to make nice thin lines, but also it's great to use for thicker lines because you can adjust this easily by adjusting the amount of pressure you are using while drawing your lines. So even though I am using a thin liner brush, I can easily make a thicker line if need be with those brushes that I like to use. We're gonna go ahead and fill in some spaces. As you see here, my art gel is thickening up, so I just added a little bit of non-acetone polish remover to help thin it out a bit, but because this art gel is more like a jelly art gel, it was a little too see-through, so I decided to just get some fresh gel. That way it had a little more pigment to it. We're gonna go ahead, get some spaces filled in, and see how this nail looks. with the final finished product, we are going to go ahead and throw a top coat over this artwork here. So I decided that I like the background matte, so I'm going to go ahead, leave that matte, and I'm going to go in with a liner brush and top coat with a gloss shiny top coat all the work that we did here. I think the contrast between the two top coats will look very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully, or at least I start going in carefully with my liner brush doing a top coat, and then I decided that using the brush, the polish brush that comes with the top coat, would be easier to kind of give it a level top coat on this top lining here, and I accidentally got some on the matte top coat, which is no problem. I'm just gonna go ahead and use a tiny bit of non-acetone polish remover to just clean it up. And when doing this, you want to make sure that you get that excess liquid out, because if you don't, although you're wiping the majority of the top coat off, there will still be a thin layer from mixing in with the excess polish remover, and it will shine that matte coat. Now again, if this happens, that's also no big deal. You can just go ahead in with a matte coat and matte those areas, but to prevent that, you should just go ahead, like I'm finishing off here, take your time, use a liner brush to create your finished look. We made today reminds me of a cute little treble angel, so I thought this name would fit perfectly. Try Man's Angel. I hope these 10 tips will be useful for you in creating line work, so if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big and beautiful thumbs up, glam that subscribe button, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Thank you so much for glamming with me today, and I will see you in the next one.